Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Dino, and I know it has been a while since I've made a video and uploaded it, but there are some reasons for that. The first of which is my wife and I have been busy painting our house. This is something we have to do around every 4 or 5 years, depending on how hot the summers are and how cold the winters are, I suppose. But this year was one of those years. So the two of us have been busy scraping and repairing any wood damage and ultimately painting the house. It takes a bit of time, but that's done now and we're ready to move on to other things. The second reason, though, is I've gone back to work. Yes, I have found employment with a growing arboricultural business about 40 kilometers from my house here. Now, I wasn't looking to get back into the forestry industry, but this job was particularly interesting. It's more of a yard manager's position where you look after the yard itself, the tub grinding, mulch production, delivery, repairing small equipment such as chainsaws or maybe brush chippers, things that sort of tie into my channel. And in fact, they've watched my channel and found it very interesting, and it's one of the reasons I believe that I'm working for them. So thank you so much for building this channel with me as we get to the point where we are today. And now I can focus on finding the right balance to make quality videos again for you out there in the great internet. So today's video is a project that I've been wanting to do for about a year and just haven't yet done it. And that is to upgrade to a Garmin 610 Montana GPS that I have right here. We're going to do that today, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why I'm doing it. So why don't you sit back, grab yourself something warm to drink, enjoy Dino's Tinker Shed. I'll see you in a minute. If you've been following my channel for the couple years that I've been doing this, you will know that I've been using a basic car GPS, like a NUVI style Garmin GPS, on both my motorcycle, my DR650, and my snowmobile. And I've had really good luck with these. There's a few things that I liked about them. One is they were inexpensive. You can even buy them used for around $50 Canadian on Facebook or some of your local shoppers area news kinds of things. And the thing about the Garmin is you could put a micro USB in there and have things such as track mapping. So in the winter, when I would use it on my snowmobile, the entire 30,000 kilometers of snowmobile trails were loaded into my GPS just as if I was driving on a city street. I could use it to route my ways. It worked really good. And overall, for the last 5 to 8 years, I've been using that technology on both my snowmobile and my DR650 when I bought it a few years ago. The one thing that I found is, obviously because they're meant to be in a car, they're not waterproof. Now in the winter, it's actually, I don't believe, as big of an issue because most of the time it's dry. It's really cold, but even if it's snowing, the snow is snow. It's not rain. So the unit itself really stood up well over the last 8 years of snowmobile trail riding. When I started using it on my DR650, I was overall fairly pleased with it. I really was only a fair weather rider. I'd ride during sunny days like it is today. And other than the fact the screen needed a shade over top of it so that I could see the display a little better, it was fairly well suited for the type of riding, I guess, that I was doing. What happened last year is I did a lot of multi-day trips with my friend Carl. And just about every one of those multi-day trips, that GPS was exposed to the elements. It rained a lot. multiple days during these excursions, and the GPS started to act up. It would shut down, it would go into weird modes. So I was pretty aware at that time that I had reached the limitations of that NUVI style GPS that I had enjoyed so much on my snowmobile. And I needed to look for a solution. As you know, the last year or so I've been retraining and I've been looking for work, and it really wasn't top of my list. And it was an unfortunate family event that led me to this Montana 610. You see, this is my brother-in-law's Montana 610 that he bought to go on snowmobiling trips when he and I would go. And unfortunately, my brother-in-law passed away a year ago. I guess it would be in June. Now, my sister didn't know what to do with this, and she asked me if I wanted it. And at first I really didn't think I would take it, but she insisted, so I did. It definitely, every time I look at it, reminds me of my brother-in-law, and I'm hoping it's going to guide me through many, many other journeys, and it's going to be a little bit like taking him along every time I look at it, which is kind of a nice thing. Now, the Montana 610 is actually, it is a GPS that's designed for outdoor use. It's completely waterproof. That's why he bought it. It's customizable. I'm going to have to do a lot of reading on how this works. And you can load in street mapping and record all your data and download tracks off of Garmin and other websites, adventure motorcycle websites, that will give me access to trails that maybe my NUVI didn't have. The other thing I like about this is it has a little bit heavier duty mounting system that has an integrated charge port on it. It's still going to need 12-volt power, and I think I'm just going to use my cigarette plug adapter to run this. But it is a much more robust retaining system than I have on my NUVI. And I'm also going to change the location of where I'm going to mount this from my custom dash onto the handlebars. I bought a ram mount that I can clamp around the bar tube, and it'll move this a little further forward and get some weight off of my custom made fairing. So why don't we have a look at that now, and I'll show you what I'm thinking about. Here is my NUVI GPS that I've had mounted on my bike for a number of years. There is some advantages to where it's mounted right now. It's nice and high, so it's easy to see. It's above the dash. It's actually at a really nice height here. I'm going to mount it down probably in this location, the new 610. You can see that I've had a sunscreen on this to help protect it, or it helps stop the glare, I should say, when I'm riding. The biggest thing for me is it's adding some extra weight up here that I'd like to move down onto the handlebars to make this a little bit lighter. At some point, I do want to replace this BMW Dakar windshield with something a little bit lighter, like a Parabellum, that's going to further remove some weight off of this. Currently, I just have it plugged in over here into my 12-volt dash. I do have USB potential on this side, but I have to change this plug out. This is something that I put in, and of course they're all made in China. They don't last very long, but this USB port that I have over here stopped working mid-summer last year. So I have to just open up my dash and replace it. I actually have one in the drawer over there that I'll do later. So I'll take this off and get to work mounting it down on the bar down below here. To start with, I'm just going to remove the GPS itself and the charging cable that I have here, and I'll set these aside. I'm going to reuse this 3-inch ram mount here, this extension arm. So I need to take it off. Now I just have it on here with a 1/4 nut. So I'll use a 7/16 wrench to get this off of here. I think if I have it, I might put a quick adjust knob back onto this just so that when I do mount it on the bar, I can move it around quickly. But for now, I'll just set this on the bench as well. I also want to remove this surface-mounted ram ball. To do this, I just have a couple cap head screws that I'll hold with this Allen key, and I'll reach from underneath and use my impact driver to remove them. Well, that cleans up the dash quite a bit. I like that, actually. Now, how am I going to mount this down to the bars? I picked this up off of Amazon. I think it was $13. And this is just a basic all aluminum ram mount adapter that should fit onto my bars really well. This comes with different I don't know, bushings, I guess, for different bar sizes. I still have the stock 7/8 bar on there. I'm going to try it in a couple different positions and see if I can get the GPS where I like it. So let's get this onto the bike. We'll try it in a couple different positions and see if I can find one that I really enjoy and think is going to work well. I think where I'm going to mount mine is right here between the left-hand triple tree clamp and where the upper crossbar meets the handlebars. There's a nice little spot there. And I'm going to use the mid-sized grommet here to go around the bar. So it just snaps on like this. I'm going to find the position that I want. I'm going to take this, the ball mount itself, and I'll just feed it in like so and center it in the grommet. I'll take my little bolt and I'll place it through. And I have to tell you, this really does feel like a high quality part. For $14, this thing really does seem like it's well built. I don't think that's a stainless steel cap head screw. I think it's chrome plated, but it still does look nice. And when I tighten it down here with this little 4mm Allen key, it is as rigid as you could possibly want out of something like this. It's really, really nice. Next, we'll take our GPS, snap the ram mount over it, and then I'll tighten it down where I kind of think it's going to work well for me. I have a double ball mount on the back here that gives me some adjustment like a mirror, so I only have to get it close. And then I'll tighten this down nice and snug so the main balls don't move. Now, when I'm riding, this secondary ball here, oh boy, and it's tight. There we go. Will give me the adjustment that I need to make this visible while I ride. I think that looks pretty good in there. Still gives me access to the speedometer, but also gives me great vision on this GPS. And the nice thing is I can pivot it up if I'm standing and look straight down on it to see where I'm going or what I'm doing. I kind of like this a lot. Yeah, I like this placement a lot. Like I said, I have full view of my speedometer, and this is just in a great spot to be able to see it and adjust it as I need to. It's right within touch. I always used to find this a little bit too hard to reach. With this, it's just right handy. I should be able to adjust it really well. All the functions are nice and right at hand. It should be really good. And over time, I may adjust this a little bit and find a spot that I like better, but I think this is a good starting spot. Now all I need to do is plug it into the bike's power system and figure out how I'm going to store the cable. The thing I like most about this particular Garmin mount is it comes with a very nice cigarette plug here that has, you know, about 3 feet of cable, but it's not overly clunky. It's actually fairly streamlined, and it's something that I think I can do the cable management rather easy. I really like the fact it has a locking cable. It locks in and holds securely, so you know it's not going to come out when you're riding. And I'll just route the cable nice and cleanly so it stays out of the way of brush and whatnot. This is a really nice feature. Some may say, well, because it's proprietary, it's going to be a lot of money, but I think it really is going to work well with this charging cable, or sorry, charging cradle. And overall, it's going to be a much better system than just a regular USB that my older bike had on it, or my older GPS had on it. Boy, I can't even talk today. I'll take this loose cable here and I'm going to zip tie it to my brake line. I know the brake line moves up and down, and I think I'll have enough free play in the cable to accommodate that. I'll leave a little loop up here so that it can sort of move with it, as well as some free play here. And I'm not going to overly tighten this, so if it needs to slip a little, it can. It's really just to hold it in the rough location. And I think I'll actually bring this up and over like that. That should give it enough free play there that it can go where it needs to. Let's see how this works. I have my 12-volt socket on keyed power. It runs through a relay to a fuse bank inside my dash here. So this should come on when I turn on the key. Let's see if it works. And it fires right up. That's a good sign. What you're hearing is the cooling fan on my Cyclops headlight that's running. It's quite loud actually. So it takes a couple minutes to boot up here, or a few seconds anyway. But let's see. It shouldn't take too long before it actually loads the map data. Looks pretty good. I've got my speedometer, my trip meter, everything I want. The screen on this is touch sensitive, or pressure sensitive I should say, which means you can operate all of the buttons, all of the functions with gloves on, any type of gloves. It doesn't have to be a touch screen glove, it can just be mitten for that matter. So what I'll do now, I guess, is read up a little bit on this, and if you'd like, I can do a little video on functionality, maybe loading the city maps, because I know this does not have the city maps loaded into it. Ontario, there we go. So it just says no results. So I think I need to load map data into this in order to use it on the street, but that'll be a different video. Well, that wraps up today's video. I know it wasn't a really in-depth video today. It was basically just mounting a GPS, but I hope you found it interesting. Like I said earlier in the video, now that I'm back to work, I'm going to work out my schedule and get more videos done on both my DR and my Skidoo, and hopefully get back to a more consistent upload cycle as some stability comes back into my wife and I's lives now that I'm back employed. I really do appreciate everyone that watches these videos and everyone that's subscribed. I am blown away again by how much support I get for this channel. And I really do appreciate all the comments, all the likes, the shares, and the subscriptions that you as viewers provide to this channel. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart. If you really did like the video, or you like the content that I produce, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. It helps the channel to grow. It helps to get my channel out there and noticed by other people. And it is truly appreciated by myself, and perhaps from other people that haven't yet discovered the content that's on Dino's Tinker Shed. So until then, I'm gonna get back to work. I got a couple other things I want to do on the bike. It never ends. But I hope to see you soon here on Dino's Tinker Shed. Tinker easy.